Okay, so this is my new textural technique. I've got a piece of opal black glass. I'm a 96 user. I've got a stencil. The stencil is from Temu, Temu. You could use any stencil. You know, whatever it happens to be. I'm also using a new brush that we have on the website. It's Series 1426, a 1-inch. This is a synthetic nylon. It's the same as our stencil brushes. The stencil brushes that we have. So it's the same, it's just in a flat, okay? Kind of like the brushes you get at Home Depot, those places. So what I'm going to do, this is the low fire, no fire piping paste. Okay. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to brush it on following the way that the stencil goes, okay? Now, the one thing about your paste is you don't want to leave it in your brush very long, okay, because it is a no fire, low fire. And so I'm just applying a thin coat, and I am brushing one direction and then another just to ensure that I get it down in the stencil sections or grooves. Just be careful you don't overwork it because you don't want to pull off what you're putting on. So I'm just kind of a light coat. Like I said, make sure you go both directions. The thicker you put the paste on, you could have cracking. But if you're looking for texture, then that would be your way to go. So if it's just an art piece and it's nothing that you're gonna, this would not be food safe or food appropriate because it is a texture the way that I'm using it. Now if you put it between glass, then it would be food safe, of course. So just as quick as possible, because what I'm going to do is apply these little stringer bits to it. And I'm just double checking to make sure I've got enough up here on some of these areas. And then I'm going to remove the stencil and I'm going to just kind of sprinkle on the bits. You would want to take your stencil and take it to the sink and put it in water and clean that off as soon as possible, because once again it just will get hard and it's going to be hard for you to get it off of there. So the first thing I'm going to do is just drop these on, kind of pat them into the paste, but I do want to kind of get it on there quickly just so that it doesn't dry. I mean, you could let it dry and then you could come back with, I haven't tried it, but you should be able to come back with like hairspray and put it on. Then I'll sprinkle or I'll dump off any of the excess so that I can save that. So this is as simple as that. I mean, it's pretty cool, the look you can get. The hotter you go, your stringers, or if you were using frit, you could do that too. I'm just going to kind of gently push some of that in. I also had some tweezers here. What did I do with them? There they are. I want to get rid of some of these bigger pieces. Yeah. Moving on. So again, depending on how hot you go, will determine what your piece is going to look like. As far as the texture and how much these will melt into the piece. Now, if you had a lot of open time, you could sit here and pick and choose, you know, what you wanted where. But we need to get it on there and get it into that while it's wet. See, I'm going to take some of these that are on the top off of there. So I'm going to use a piece of white glass to back this with, and it'll be slightly larger to create a frame around it. I like doing that. It just makes it look nice. I'll take this one off and snip it in two and try to get it back on there. That one also has a long It does take a little bit of time, but it's so worth it. When it's done. All right, I think I'm gonna dump it And then we can come back and put and this is a 2-inch. The other one I'm using is a 1-inch. This is a 2 that you could use on larger pieces if you thought you needed, if you were covering a large area at a time. That would work great. Taking it off of that eye. Whoops, that's the other eye. Darn it. I'll have to dab some of the paste on there. Because I don't like the way that sits there. Clean this brush before I go any further, just because I don't want to take a chance of it getting stuck in there and not being able to get it out. Being a no fire, low fire, it will harden really fast, depending on how thick or thin it is. I'm going to take a little bit of that. Once this dries, you can come back and clean up any area. Or you can take a not a toothpick, a Q-tip with the pointed end. See how I just pulled that off of there? And when you're using the paste, make sure that you keep it off the walls. Anything that dries on the wall, it's going to be there and you cannot reconstitute. So when you're working, keep that scraped down to the bottom to eliminate a lot of loss with your product. So you can think of the paste almost like a grout that's going to hold whatever you're using tight to the area. So some of these stringers are transparent, some of them are opal. So where I've picked up some of the paste, I'm just trying to find an opal one that I can lay in that area. I really like the red, the pop of that red. Okay, so you get the idea. You don't need to sit here and watch me do every single one of these. Do you understand what I'm doing? And then depending on the desired texture that you want will determine on what top temperature. I'm going to go to probably 1410, and I'll do a 10-minute hold on it. I did another one that I did 1380 with a 10-minute hold, and the stringers are there, but it is very very textured, and it really, like I said, it just depends on what you are looking for. So play around with the technique. Nothing fancy, but it's kind of cool, the different effects that you can get, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.